intro music fades in. Well, at least it would if I had intro music on this podcast, but it's just me talking to my Chromebook, as usual. But anyway, welcome to Critical Weight Theory, and today we're going to hit you with some economic solutions, 10 ways of addressing poverty and income inequality. Wow. It's almost like I'm a leftist at times with talk like that. But anyway, welcome to another episode of Critical Weight Theory, as I believe I said. And we're looking at some possible pathways to progress. And we're exploring the critical issues shaping our world and discussing practical solutions to make a positive impact. Well, if our society wasn't so rotten that it would casually disregard probably every single solution that I will list here. They're going to say each and everything that I list as a solution is impractical, unrealistic, possibly tyrannical, any number of generally arbitrary critiques will be used. Although, technically they're not arbitrary because there's a reason people will be critiquing these solutions. And I'm sure, maybe there might be a few legitimate critiques that will creep in to a person's mind. But you know what? A lot of those critiques of whatever I'm going to say here, they're going to be dog shit, okay? So we're tackling a topic that's both pervasive and complex: poverty and income inequality. And I think I said the word poverty oddly there, but whatever, we're going to roll with it. So I'm going to, get right into it. Segment 1: the current landscape of poverty and inequality. So this is where I talk about why I'm proposing solutions. So when we think about poverty and inequality, it's a good idea to understand that these issues look different around the world. So in the United States, poverty might mean having access to smartphones and cars, but struggling with food security or healthcare costs. And then, of course, you've got the John Stossels of the world who claim that no homeless people are actually real in the United States or something like that, but it does exist as a problem. Not all homeless people are mentally ill. In fact, as the system keeps screwing more and more people over, we're going to see more people who we know who are struggling to make ends meet. Well, assuming the person listening to this is not, friends with just millionaires and billionaires. But who knows, maybe even some of them are going to fall on hard times, who knows. But anyway, in contrast to that general picture, there are countries like Sri Lanka where the middle class might experience a standard of living that includes fewer technological luxuries, but greater daily survival challenges. I said Grady because I was looking at the word daily in my notes. So, greater daily survival challenges, not Grady. But anyway, addressing these issues requires a multi-pronged approach. So let's explore some key solutions, shall we? So yes, this segment 2, we're going to look at some key solutions to poverty and inequality. I think I've postponed this long enough. So what are they? Number 1, progressive taxation and wealth redistribution. Oh, that's a shocker. But progressive taxation ensures that those with higher incomes pay a larger percentage of their income in taxes, which can be used to fund social programs and public services. What a concept. And what is the justification for that? Well, progressive taxation can reduce income inequality by redistributing wealth from the rich to the poor. It's pretty straightforward. And, not just like material wealth, but the benefits that are associated with wealth. Resources, and the more people have access to resources, the better off their odds will be. When coupled with effective social programs, it can alleviate poverty and provide a safety net for the most vulnerable populations. So, what's the solution number two? Minimum wage increases. Wow, how cool is that? Raising the minimum wage can help ensure that workers earn a living wage that covers basic needs such as food, housing, and healthcare. Well, who needs those things? Why would anybody want higher wages to have those things? That doesn't even make any sense, man. So, what is the justification? A higher minimum wage can reduce poverty among working individuals and families, and ensuring that full-time workers do not live below the poverty line. How quaint. It can also stimulate economic growth, growth, growth by increasing consumer spending. Ah, you don't say. So, what is solution number three? Education and training programs. Oh my gosh. Investing in education and vocational training can equip individuals with the skills needed to compete in the modern job market and access higher paying jobs. Wow. So, what is the justification for that? Education is a powerful equalizer that can provide long term solutions to poverty and income inequality. By improving access to quality education and training, individuals can achieve upward mobility and break the cycle of poverty. So, are you saying that society doesn't only need to be, churches and jails, like the Rage Against the Machine song alludes alludes to? So yeah, see right there, I was thinking of the band name Rage Against the Machine. So, boy, I'm having these Joe Biden-ish senior moments at this point. But anyway, what is the solution number four on the list? Well, this is going to be one of the more controversial ones. Universal Basic Income, or UBI. It's a spooky concept, but it is futuristic. It's a way to earn money while sitting on your couch doing nothing. Well, that's the critique of it anyway. But let's look at why some people are advocating this. So, implementing a UBI provides all citizens with a regular, unconditional sum of money, regardless of employment status. So, some of us, we see that and we're like, that's an immediate reason to go for that idea, regardless of whatever flaws it has. It is like an inherent safety net. Well, presumably, anyway. I'm sure there are some critiques of it, but it has been proven to work in cases where it's been applied. You can actually look up examples. If you don't believe me, I don't actually have them in front of me, but trust me, they do exist. In fact, a lot of people bring up Alaska as a place where they have a limited type of UBI, and Alaska's been doing relatively okay. But anyway, the UBI, for the justification, it can provide a financial safety net that helps people meet their basic needs, reduce poverty, and give them the freedom to pursue education, entrepreneurship, or other opportunities without the immediate pressure or the pressure of financial survival. So you're less likely to be, homeless with this concept in a very basic way. You're less likely to struggle to make ends meet. You might even I don't know, create something amazing in your spare time, perhaps, because you might be able to cut down on work hours at your menial and meaningless day job, and you might be able to reach for the stars, and who knows. But anyway, like I said, there are examples of it actually working as well as people might think. So, option number 5, universal health care. It's It's embarrassing that the United States doesn't have this when so much of the rest of the world takes it almost for granted, basically. But ensuring access to healthcare can prevent medical expenses from driving individuals into poverty and can improve overall quality of life. So the justification should be pretty obvious, especially if you look at all the success stories across the world. Not like they have perfect healthcare systems, but you know, they have healthcare systems that tend to have much better outcomes than what the United States has, at least in a lot of cases. I mean, to some degree, obviously, you might find horror stories here and there, but overall, the United States has a crappy system. I'm just going to put it like that. So, healthcare costs are a significant burden for many low income families in the United States. That's part of the justification for universal healthcare. And universal healthcare can reduce the financial strain on these families, allowing them to allocate resources to other essential needs and reducing poverty related stress. So, sounds good to me. And proposal number 6, social safety nets and welfare programs. And that's about strengthening social safety nets such as unemployment benefits, food assistance, and housing subsidies, which can provide immediate relief to those in need. Well, it can. That's not to say it always does, but we're working on it. So how about the justification? Well, effective welfare programs can mitigate the effect of poverty by providing temporary assistance and support during periods of unemployment or financial hardship, thus reducing income inequality and ensuring a basic standard of living. Although, if you have the universal basic income, you might not even need, some of these welfare programs. So, what about job creation and economic growth? Well, that's sort of an obvious one. A lot of people might think that should be in the number one spot, but we already have this to some degree, and I guess to some degree we have some of the other things, but this is like one of the most normal and least controversial ideas. But anyway, promoting policies that stimulate job creation, especially in disadvantaged areas, can provide more employment opportunities and reduce unemployment rates. So, what's the justification? What's the further justification for this? Economic growth that leads to job creation can lift individuals out of poverty by providing stable and well-paying employment opportunities. Well, I'm boring myself to death by saying that, but it's true enough. Focused efforts on creating jobs and impoverished areas can directly address local economic disparities. Yep. Seems true enough to me. So, option number 8, empowering marginalized communities. Well, we heard the word marginalized so many times in the past, I don't know, decade or so, but I'm going to use it again here. So, supporting initiatives that empower marginalized communities, including racial and gender equality measures, can address systemic inequalities that contribute to poverty. So, what's the justification there? Okay, marginalized groups often face additional barriers to economic participation. Policies that promote equality and inclusivity can help dismantle such barriers, allowing for broader economic participation and reducing systemic income inequalities. So it turns out that if you discriminate against people, they're going to be hurt by that. Who would have thought? Who would have thunk it? So solution number 9, housing policies. Now, this is debatable if I should have had it in the number 9 spot. Maybe it should have been higher up on the list, but it's here anyway. So implementing policies that increase the availability of housing can help reduce homelessness and housing insecurity. And the justification, housing is critical for stability and financial security. Duh, everybody Everybody can guess that. Like, especially if you live in a place where there's a winter, you get wintry weather. Well, you need shelter then. It's pretty much a given, that you need some type of shelter. And reducing, housing concerns is a practical thing. By ensuring that people have access to homes, we can address one of the root causes of poverty and improve overall economic stability for low income families. And another thing, the final one on the list, number 10, childcare support. Providing affordable childcare can enable more parents, especially women, to participate in the workforce. And oddly enough, that's a problem with a relative of mine right now. She's decided that she's not going to work. She's going to stay at home, take care of the kids because the childcare would be too expensive otherwise. So she might be actually jeopardizing her future career opportunities by, spending time doing that. I'm not judging her, and she's aware of the situation because she's living it. But there's an element of sacrifice to doing that. You're not you're not going to get a job at a high ranking company or anything like that if you're just at home raising the kids. So, what is the justification for, you know, better access to affordable childcare, if not free childcare? So, access to affordable childcare or free childcare can significantly reduce the burden on working parents and increase labor force participation. This can lead to higher family incomes and reduce poverty rates, particularly among single parent households. So, the household I mentioned earlier is not single parent, but it is true that one of the reasons that single moms might end up on welfare is because somebody's got to be taking care of the kids. You know, if you happen to have kids and you're struggling to find a way to have people watch over them and stuff. Like what if there's no obvious means of support? Well, maybe society can provide one. So yeah, and that basically concludes the episode. So obviously, addressing poverty and income inequality is a complex challenge requiring a coordinated effort across various sectors and policies. And now I sound like a nerd using that type of language, but it's true. By tackling the root causes and providing robust support systems, we can create a more equitable and prosperous society. It's not just good for poor people to implement these policies. It can be good for society at large, but some people, they're just too short-sighted / ideological to understand that. They think that maybe because they are successful that they know what's best for the entirety of the society. They're the geniuses. So, everybody better listen to them, and all these super rich people are donating to these political parties and making the country reject a lot of these ideas, through the messaging and the campaigns and, the ideological leanings that happen in certain areas of, the media and all that kind of stuff. Some school system thingies are set up that way. Thingies is obviously a very technical term, but there's a lot of concentrated and concerted efforts against a lot of these ideas. I'll just put it like that. So, there's no one size fits all solution, and a combination of these strategies is needed to make a significant impact. But, it pays to actually proceed with some of these ideas if we can. So pressure those bitch ass politicians to actually do some of this stuff if you can. So thank you for joining me today on critical weight theory. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on YouTube and click like on it if there's a like button and all that kind of stuff. And share it with others who are passionate about making a difference. So this is where the outro music would fade out if I had outro music.